Y'all ready for the word today? You guys, I am so excited of what God is doing here at One Community Church. Pastor Jason and Pastor Alicia, they send their love. They're actually practicing what I'm going to be speaking about today. But he thank you guys for being here. I am not the senior pastor here at One Community. So if you came expecting to hear a word by Pastor Jason, I'm sorry, I am not him. Okay, I do have big shoes to follow and to fill in when he is not here, but I know that he would be thankful. I was telling Pastor Barbie as we were watching the trailer for the movie that I'm pleasantly surprised with the group that we have here on a holiday weekend, because I know it's an opportunity to take that extended time and to take a break. But what you're doing is showing that you are making God's house a priority in your life, and I want to thank you for that. But this morning, I'm actually going to begin a two-part series. No, I'm not speaking next week, okay? But it's going to be a Sunday morning, and if you enjoy what you hear this morning, then you can come back for part 2 at Cornerstone and Smack over at 6:15 tonight. Okay? But the title of this mini sermon series is going to be Pause. Okay? And today I've got a lofty goal ahead of me, but I want to help you do some things this morning, okay? Now, first off, did everybody bring the 3 things that you're supposed to bring to church? You're like, well, what is that? It's your Bible, a pen or a highlighter, and a notebook. All right, because guess what? I give you a lot of scripture reference. Yes, they are going to be up here on the screen, but I have a tendency to fly through some things, and I'm going to give you some points and some life practices that you should also take note of as well, okay? So today I hope to improve your life, to get your health back, to help you sleep better, declutter your life, recover family time, cut wasted activities, and help you end your day with peace and rest. How does that sound? You good with that? Okay, then guess what? You are in the right place. So honestly, this is a message that I believe that all of us need. And when I say all, I'm including myself in this. I was telling the worship team earlier this morning is when I was preparing for this message, I'm like, God, is this for me or is this for your house? And all I got was, yes. Yes, what? Yes. So I'm learning while teaching. Okay, and no, I'm not teaching this because I have arrived, not at all. But I am learning exactly during this time while you are here with us, okay? So in this message this morning, we're going to be talking about being busy. Is there anyone in here who feels that there's not enough time in the day? Anyone? Okay, hands across the room. I'm glad to know. Okay, we're too busy with family, or we're too busy to have our devotional time, or we're too busy for the me time. We're just too busy, and I can't get everything done in a day. Is that anybody? So, when I'm speaking, I always have to give you some useless information and some facts that you may or may not know. Okay, and today I'm going to continue that. So I'm going to give you a math lesson. And this is not God math, this is real math, okay? So how many math people that we have today? Okay, how many of you can tell me, just right? Oh, you put it up there on the screen too quick. Okay, how many minutes are in a day? Okay, put that, there's 1,440 minutes in a day. Okay, so if we account for 8 hours of sleep each day, trust me, some of y'all need more than that, I get it. Okay, but we're just going to go with 8 hours of sleep. That's 480 minutes of sleep. Okay, most of us in here try to work 480 minutes of work every single week. Okay, so that's 6 days times 8 hours times 60. Okay, I know some of your minds are already just blown. Because I get these blank faces, these stares. Okay, so what that ends up with 8 hours, 480 minutes left 480 minutes left in a day for you to decide what is important. So this morning, I want to expose some of the lies of the enemy. Before we jump into this, I must reveal some of the deceptions that the enemy presents to us first. Okay, so the first thing I want to just put out there, because I'm all about exposing the devil, exposing his tactics, and the way that he approaches us and attacks us, okay? I believe that's very important for us to understand and know. So the 5 deceptions of busy is, if you're busy, you are important. Okay? This is what the enemy tells us. If we are busy, then you are important. If you're busy, you're getting a lot done. If you're busy, it's okay not to return phone calls, text messages, or emails. I'm not looking at anyone. If you're busy, that's the reason your work is mediocre and behind schedule. It's okay. It's because you're busy. If you're busy, it's because you're the only one who can do it right. Those are lies. All of these are lies and deceptions of the enemy. In our culture today, busy is an esteemed badge of honor. We wear it with pride. I'm busy. Okay? But in today's society, being busy is considered a good quality. But what I consider busy is actually a symptom of something that is bad. You're like, hold up, Pastor Daniel. Hold up. What are you telling me? Are you saying I need to be lazy? No, that is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we need to take a closer look to what we prioritize in our lives. Okay, when you go to the doctor, you're not feeling well. One of the first questions that a doctor will ask is, have you had any symptoms? Right? What's going on? What's causing you to want to visit the doctor? Okay? Why? Because it's an ailment. You have an ailment, and we're going to try to figure out what is wrong. Okay, so before getting too deep into this today, I first want to identify some of the symptoms that we experience when we are too busy. And again, I'm building a foundation. I'm shining the light on the enemy's tactics. Okay? Because that's one thing about the enemy. He's sly. He likes to hide in the dark. He doesn't like to be seen. But we are going to expose him this morning, okay? So the first symptom of busy is busy distracts us from what is most important. Busy distracts us from the deeper things, from the more meaningful things. Okay? We say that we're busy for our kids. We're busy so we can have a richer life, or we're busy to get ahead so we can rest. What we're actually using are excuses that we are lying to ourselves. The reality is busyness prevents us from having time. Busy prevents us from having a perspective. Busy prevents us from having an understanding and self-awareness. Think about that. So number 2, the second symptom of busy is it's a form of escape. But you just said, go with me. We use busyness to avoid reality. Think about that. I'm busy. I got to go do this. My schedule, I got a notification. I got to go do this. Somebody's asking me to go do this. I got to take care of my dogs and them. Got to go take care of my mom and dad and them. I got to take care of this. We're busy to escape reality, you guys. We have convinced ourselves that if we are busy, then you don't have to feel, you don't have to see, or you don't have to address any issues, challenges, or problems that you have in your life. The problem is that avoiding the issues prevents positive change and personal growth. I'm going to read that again because I want to make sure that you understand that. The problem is that avoiding the issues prevents positive change and personal growth. So the third symptom is busy is a false substitute for our self-worth. We are not what we do. Yet we allow ourselves to believe this. Society reinforces this. But this is a lie. I don't care who you are or what your daily work or busyness entails. It has nothing to do with your worth and value. If you've got a pen and paper, write this down. Our genuine value comes from who we are and not what we do. Our genuine value comes from who we are and not what we do. Until we change our thinking, we will stay trapped in busy land. Symptom number 4 is busy is addictive with negative side effects. It gives us a buzz. It's like a drug that begs for more. I don't like being addicted to anything. Busyness as a habit is unhealthy. It is unhealthy to our body, it is unhealthy to our mind, and it is unhealthy to our soul. And when we can't stop ourselves from being busy, then it's just as harmful as a drug. While preparing for this message, I came across an article. And Barbie tells me all the time, she says, Daniel, why are you reading this? I'm like, you never know when I need this information. You know, I love driving down College Avenue down by the veterinarian clinic because they have some useless facts on the board every single day, and I love it. I said, look at that. Isn't that cool? Barbie's like, no. I'm like, oh, but it is. But I read an article that says, and the title of this article is How Constantly Staying Busy Affects Our Well-Being. And in this article, it lists different side effects of consistently being too busy. Guess what? It's a thing. Okay? There are emotional side effects, anxiety, depression, increased stress and feeling overwhelmed inadequately or incompetence, frustration, anger, guilt, loneliness, and hopelessness, decreased self-esteem. It's real. There are also physical side effects to it, not just with the mental side. There are physical side effects, muscle tension or pain, restlessness or insomnia, headaches, inflammation, compromised immune function, fatigue, change in sex drive, digestive issues, cardiovascular diseases. Guess what? Has anybody in here experienced any of that? Maybe you need to push pause. You ever thought of that? Being busy is not a new problem. It's not. It's mentioned in Scripture. So what I want to do is let's take a look at Elijah in 1 Kings chapter 19 and verse 4. It says, then he went on alone into the wilderness, traveling all day. He sat down under a solitary broom tree and prayed that he might die. I've had enough, Lord, he said. Take my life, for I'm no better than my ancestors who have died already. I think he was tired. I think he was depressed. I think that he just had enough. Sound familiar? Okay, let's read in Philippians chapter 2, verse 30 about Epaphroditus. He almost died working for Christ. What? I can do that? Yes. Guess what? Do you know what one of the biggest factors for pastors leaving the ministry is? Burnout. Why? Because they're busy. Think about it. We can die, almost die working for Christ, and he risked his own life to do for me what you could not do. Symptom number 5, busy hinders our personal growth and our life's purpose. Being busy prevents us from hearing the still small voice that directs our life and reveals meaning, and purpose. Busyness is an anchor. It creates a drag that holds us back from reaching our potential. You ever referred to busyness as noise? To where there is so much noise, there is so much going on. Hello, have anybody turned on the news here lately? And all the noise? I used to be one, and Barbie can't stand this, that I like getting my news fix. I like to know what's going on. But here lately, there has been so much noise because I don't know if y'all know this, but FYI, this is an election year. And when that happens, there is a whole lot of noise. And I don't know how many of you know this, that if you are in El Dorado, there are a lot of tensions and things that are going on in our city that's causing a lot of noise. Am I right? Okay, so there is so much noise. And how many of you know that when you pick up this phone, I left mine down there for a reason, but you bring up your phone and you get on social media, there's a lot of noise on social media. Okay? So I'm going to talk about some practical things to help eliminate some of that noise, okay? So we are so busy putting out fires that we lose sight of our purpose. And so I want to help us focus on what our purpose is today. The fire at our feet becomes the purpose. So we're too busy looking at our phone that we steer our car in the wrong direction. Nobody does that, right? You've never been on your phone texting someone and hear those rumble tracks come across your vehicle, right? I've never done anything like that, have I, Barbie? No, I have not. The fourth symptom of busy is it impedes or hinders our personal productivity. We think that the faster we go, the more we get done, but the truth is the faster we go, the less productive we become. Did you get that? A lot of times, the faster we go, the less productive we become. If you don't believe that, check out Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 5. And it says, if you plan and work hard, you will have plenty. If you hurry to get rich, you will end up poor. Guess what? We all need recharging in our life. We can't keep charging forward. We can't keep pushing forward without recharging our batteries, you guys. Proverbs chapter 19, verse 2, it says, ignorant desire is not good. Rushing feet makes mistakes. Do you find yourself making more and more mistakes, being less and less productive? It's because we are in a hurry. Being busy and being productive are often mistaken for the same thing, but they are not. They are two different things. Being busy is how we spend our time, whereas productivity is what we are able to accomplish during our time. If we are busy, it just means that we have a lot on our plate, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we are being productive or using our time efficiently. Being productive means we are able to complete a task or get something done. It's not important for us to be busy. It's important for us to be productive. Now, the last symptom that I want to mention this morning is that busy steals our joy. When we're busy, joy goes right out the window. Why? Because we are then discontent. And when we're discontent, we are not happy with anything. So Job summed this up pretty well in Job chapter 9 and verse 25. It says, ignorant desire isn't good. No, sorry, I can't read my notes. My life passes more swiftly than a runner. It flees away without a glimpse of happiness. His joy was gone. So I've got a question for you this morning that I was asked not too long ago. And this question, it actually took me back. And it kind of caught me off guard because I couldn't answer this question. But the question is, when was the last time that you felt genuine joy in your life? And here's the question. My answer. I couldn't answer that question because I was kind of put on the spot. And I'm like, hey, you gotta, give me some time to prepare to answer a question like that. They're like, no, just tell me, when was the last time? What makes you happy? And I could not answer that question because my answers were what I do for other people. They said, no. What makes you happy? And I could not answer that question. And that's why I need this sermon today. It's because I realized that, hey, I can't keep going at the speed and the rate that I'm going because I am busy. I'm not productive. I am busy doing things and not being productive. Okay? So I know that we've talked about a lot already this morning, and I know I've still got about 2 hours to go, so we're good, right? We said 1:30. Y'all knew that, right? Pastor Jason's gone. Daniel's got the mic. We're good. I'm just kidding. I'm going to still try-ish to get you out at a decent time. 1 o'clock? Are we good with that? Okay. No, I got that. So I'm going to give you this morning 4 steps on how to beat busy. So we are here. I am going to give you a plan. Okay? Number 1, take inventory of your time. Financial Peace University states that the first step in gaining control of your finances is to track for 30 days every dollar that you spend. Every coffee, every piece of gum, Amazon purchases. Jason Sneed. But if you take a look at that, it's quite the revelation. But you know what? You can also do that with your time. I had an operations manager, probably one of the most wisest men I've ever been able to learn from. For all of his leadership team, this was number 1 on his list. Because he would ask me, he said, Daniel, what's your capacity right now? And I'm like, I'm in the accounting office, so I'm like 80, 85, 90% all the time. He said, okay. And I'm like, it didn't sound like he believed me. I don't understand why. And so it finally came to where he was approaching his leadership with this. He said, for 1 week, I want you to take and break down every single minute of every single day when you're in the office and when you're at home, and take a look at it. I'm like, a week? I said, of course, when I'm here at work, I'm very productive, and I'm always on task. Okay. And in doing that, what it really made me recognize and realize, you know what? There's a lot of useless time in my day that I'm busy, but I'm not being productive. And that's what this was kind of what he wanted to accomplish, was let us realize how productive we are with our time. Are there conversations at other people's desks that are taking up our time in the day but aren't productive to what we have going on? I didn't mean to hurt anybody's feelings, okay? Y'all are getting quiet on me. But it's something that we really need to think about. So what does this tracking time look like? Did you know that your cell phone actually has a screen time report on it? I would love to see some of our screen time reports. How much of that screen time is spent on social media, YouTube videos? You're like, oh, well, Pastor Daniel, I have to listen to my podcasts, and they're godly podcasts. I'm sure they are. Bless your heart. Okay? But because I know that everything that you listen to during the day is godly, right? Yeah, okay. But look at the amount of time you're spending on your phone. I say a week, just do it for one day. What does that look like? How much time do you spend on social media? How much time do you spend in household chores? How much time do you spend actually spending time with your family? Spending time in your family does not mean, hey, we're all under the same roof and nobody's killing each other. Okay? That's not what that means. But that means how much time are you spending really engaging with your family? How much time do you spend working? Some of us, that work-life balance may be kind of skewed. How much time do we spend sleeping? You're like, oh, Pastor Daniel, I can't get enough of that. Are you telling me that 14 hours of sleep in one day is not enough? Trust me, that ain't happening here at all. I promise you that. No, I couldn't do it. Because I think last night I got to bed about 11 o'clock, and I know this morning my eyes were wide open at 5. Okay? So that's 6 hours. I'm good. Okay? So Jesus is teaching us in Luke chapter 14, verses 28 through 30. He's teaching us on what it is to become a disciple. And in verse 28, he tells us to count the cost. Count the cost. So this is a biblical concept of talking about time and what it is costing you in time and what you're doing. When was the last time that you counted the cost before getting into something new? Okay? You're like, what do you mean? Okay? I'm not going to pick on, yeah, I am. You ladies, somebody comes up and asks you, hey, we're starting a new bunco group. We would love for you to be a part of that bunco group. It's just one night a month. And that one night turns into 5 hours. Yes, you're having a good time. You're having fun, which is necessary. I get it. Okay? But in those groups, there's never any drama, right? Yeah, y'all are laughing because y'all know when I'm stirring the pot. I ain't going there. Yes, Jesus, thank you. Okay, moving on. Okay, step 2 to beating busy is regularly prune your life and your schedule. When we are too busy, that means that we have overcommitted and said yes to too many things. So I want to teach you guys a 2-letter word this morning, and that word is spelled N-O. Okay, so when I say, I'm going to count to 3, and when I say 1, 2, 3, I want you to say that 2-letter words, okay? 1, 2, 3. You have learned a new word this morning, and it's actually a word that some of you in here have not used in a very long time. And I know we find it is funny when you think about that, because it's such a simple word. But guess what? Sometimes we need to use that word a little more. John chapter 15, verse 2, it says, he cuts away every branch of mine that doesn't produce fruit, but he trims clean every branch that does. Hold up. It does what? He trims clean every branch that does produce fruit so that it will produce even more fruit. So why are we cutting away the branches that don't produce fruit? He cuts away every branch of mine that doesn't. Why? God's cutting out the clutter. Now, I ain't even going into that. Not doing it. You never, no. Here's the deal. And like I said this at the very beginning. This is from me too. When there is something that you've had since you've moved to El Dorado in 2016, and it is still in the box that you moved here with, guess what? We probably don't need it. If you've got something sitting in a room, in a closet, a guest bedroom that becomes a storage room. I don't know who that might be, Tara. Okay? But if you have a guest bedroom that has become a storage room for things that you've not used in years or maybe ever, guess what? It's clutter. And it's time to clean it out. So that's what this biblical concept is doing. God is cutting away the clutter. God is cutting away the junk that we have that is filling up our lives. And guess what? We need to do the same thing. What do you do on a regular basis that does not add to your life? Social media, Netflix, gaming, TV, the news. Not everything is bad, though. Let's look at the second part of this scripture. In the same John 15:2, it says, he trims clean every branch that does produce fruit. Why? So that it will produce even more. Okay? For those of you that have rose bushes and you want them to stay full, okay? Are these, what are they, crepe myrtles? For those that have crepe myrtles, every single year you have to knuckle them, right? Because when you do that, when they come back in the spring, they are full and they are healthy. There are things that we deem as healthy, and they're good things, but we have to make sure that those things are taken care of as well. So, saying no is really sometimes saying yes to something even better. Because when we make room for God and God things by saying no, then we're able to say yes to those things that are going to be impactful in our life. So the next thing, step 3, is to establish boundaries. I said the B word. Establish boundaries based on our personal values, not necessity. Most often, necessity drives our schedule and our boundaries. Some of us are here that feel the need to be busy because when we slow down, we have to take a look at ourselves. Proverbs chapter 25, verse 28, it says that a person without self-control is like a city with broken down walls. When we don't have self-control, we become vulnerable and exposed. You want me to give you a good example of somebody setting boundaries? A successful marriage. What? A good marriage only happens as a result of good boundaries. And I'm going to share something with you. If you don't set boundaries in your life, guess what? Other people will. You're like, that doesn't make sense. Well, I'm going to give you a practical example of this. Okay, when I first bought my house in Hot Springs, it was a nice house, had a fenced-in backyard. And I kept my yard, it stayed trimmed. It stayed looking nice, okay? But you ever have one of those neighbors that the importance of their yard didn't quite measure up because I really thought, I really think that this gentleman was in a competition to see how many used tires he could store in his backyard, or how many vehicles he could fit that do not run and never ran the entire time that I owned my house there. How many of those broke down vehicles he could fit in his yard? And so the only time that he actually ever mowed his yard is when the city came by to cite him saying, hey, you've got 30 days to get your lawn cut. Hot Springs did that, okay? And so, but what had happened is one of those things that was not in the city code to maintain is shrubbery. And so on one side of my house, it actually bordered our property line, and there was a shrub line from the street all the way to my fence, that these overgrown shrubs were like, I was probably 10 to 20 feet probably from the shrub line to the house, to where these shrubs were so overgrown I could not walk down the side of my house. And so I got to talking to a real estate friend of mine, and they said, well, Daniel, check your survey. I said, what do you mean? They said, check your property boundaries. I said, you mean I have boundaries? They said, absolutely. And if these shrubs infringe upon your property line, so if they are hanging over your property, everything from that property line over, you can cut down. I said, how far? They said, how far do you want to cut them down? I said, all the way to the stump. They said, go for it. I said, intriguing. And so what I did, I looked at the survey, and I looked at the boundaries, and guess what? The shrub line was on my property. So what I thought I was allowing, because I didn't set my own boundaries and I didn't take a look at what my boundaries were, I allowed someone else to set boundaries for me. And it was infringing upon me. And so I was so happy to take a chainsaw and cut them down to the roots. Okay? And I gained so much yard and so much beautiful sunlight, because no joke, they were up so high that the phone lines that were running into the house were actually entangled up into the shrubs. That's how ugly and nasty they were. But it was me. Number 4, we need to tap into the power of pause. In our hyper-connected world, we have been taught to vilify boredomness, idleness, and free time. When is the last time that you were bored? When was the last time that you simply did nothing at all and did not feel guilty about it at all? Can I share with you something? Even the fastest race cars that are out there regularly schedule pit stops. We could all use a busyness detox. In Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 through 30, I'm closing up. It says, come to me, all of you who are struggling and hard and carrying heavy loads, and I will give you what? And I will give you rest. Put on my yoke and learn from me. I'm gentle and humble, and you will find rest for yourselves. My yoke is easy to bear, and my burden is light. Before we conclude this morning, I want to give you some homework that will help you kickstart to beating busy. And that's called the Pause Challenge. So I'm going to give you 3 easy steps. I say these are easy and I'm laughing, okay? So three easy steps, the Pause Challenge. Number 1, set aside 30 minutes per day for 5 days to be alone, to pause, and do absolutely nothing. That's 2% of your total 1,440 minutes in a day. That leaves you 1,410 minutes to get off the merry-go-round and do nothing. take a walk, sit under a tree, sit in a closet, close the door, hey, soak in a hot bath, go to an empty room, do nothing. I'm like, well, I don't have time for that. That's what I'm trying to give you back. I'm trying to give you back some of your time. Number 2, and this for some of you younger people, y'all are going to be astonished and shocked by this. No technology, no music. Barbie, no books, no reading, no social interaction, and definitely, absolutely no phone. You know, there's some of us in this generation are suffering from nomophobia. You know what that is? The fear of having no phone. It's a real thing. Check it out. I promise that you can make it 30 minutes without your phone. You can put it on a table across the room to where you can see it. Just don't pick it up. It still exists. It's still there. Just don't pick it up. If in your car, turn off all your notifications. Number 3 to this pause challenge is learn to be comfortable in the quiet and let your mind simply wander. During this time, carry a small notebook and a pen and write down any interesting ideas or insights that you get during this time. So as my media team, if you would, go ahead and start, if you'll bring the lights down and you go ahead and start playing the playlist for me. I want to invite you tonight to come to Cornerstone, where I'm going to continue this 2-part series, and tonight's message is called The Rhythms of Rest. If we do not allow for a rhythm of rest in our overly busy lives, illness becomes our Sabbath. It becomes our pneumonia. It becomes our cancer, our heart attack, or our accident creates a Sabbath for us. So this morning, we're going to put into practice what we have talked about. We're almost done, okay? So I want to ask you to please, if you would, hang with me. Hang with me and try to limit as much as you can getting up and moving around. Because right now is a time that I feel that God is really going to stir and really do some things for some people in here. So right now, I'm going to ask you to remain seated and empty out your hands for a second. Now close your eyes. Relax your muscles, your shoulders, your arms, your hands, your fingers, your legs, your feet, etc. I want you to pause. Take a deep breath. Hold it in. Now let it out. And what I'm going to do right now is we're going to pause for 60 seconds. So I have a question for you. How long has it been since you've paused? I felt that, you guys. So this morning, I want you, where you are right now, I want you to just lift your hands out. Out, not up, just out. Because what we're going to do, this is the prayer that I want you to repeat after me. God, go ahead and repeat it after me. God, I give you the busy in my life. Amen. So I'm going to ask you to stand with me. And I'm going to go ahead and ask for our prayer partners to come up. And I feel something. This is something that I really questioned God about this week, and asking, say, God, are you sure about this? Are you sure that I need to do this? But yes, I do believe so. Throughout the Bible, it talks about the return of Jesus Christ. And Jesus said in Matthew chapter 24 and verse 36, it says, however, no one knows the day or the hour when these things will happen. Not even the angels in heaven or the Son himself, or only the Father knows. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 52. The Bible says it will happen in a moment, in the blink of an eye, when the last trumpet is blown. For when the trumpet sounds, those who have died will be raised to live forever, and we who are living will also be transformed. I want you to do this with me. On the count of 3, I want you to blink and to clap one time. Okay? So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, blink and clap at the same time. All right? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Right then, Jesus could have returned. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. Jesus could have returned in the blink of an eye. So my question to you this morning is, have you been too busy to stop and to survey your heart? You've always come up with the excuse, and you've always said that I'll do it later or I'll do it next Sunday. Why not do it now? Proverbs 27:1, it says, do not brag about tomorrow, since you do not know what the day will bring. Today is your day of salvation. We've taken time to pause and to allow God the opportunity to speak through the busy this morning. And so right now, with every head bowed and every eye closed, I want to give you the opportunity to respond, because we've taken the time to look at ourselves. We've taken the time to push pause, to allow God to speak to us. And so now it is time for us to respond to what He is saying. So I want to invite you, if you do not know what would happen to you in that split second, in that blink of an eye, if you have any questions of what if you were to still remain or be met in the heavens to your master, if there is any question in your mind of what would happen in that split second, I want to invite you to come down right now. And we are going to pause to allow you that opportunity to respond.